asked about lackluster seasons. Does this one blow back your bangs at all?
No.
No, it's horrible. Be careful what you wish for.
Horrible.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. Horrible.
I don't think it's horrible. We've talked about it being paint by numbers. It is kind of just your milquetoast season of ABC's The Bachelor or Bachelorette. Seasons past have been complete fucking dumpster fires. So I think it's nice to get some calm waters.
Okay.
But it's not, no, it's definitely not blowing anyone's hair back.
Okay, this is my problem with it. Is that it needs to reinvent itself. It needs to innovate. It's been the same stale formula for 20 years. And I don't know if it's they're resting on their laurels or they're lazy or why mess with something that's working. It's, they fucked with Coca-Cola. Next thing you know, they're in trouble. So they bring back the original. They need a shakeup here because we have far better shows. My wife is masturbating to Hotel Island or whatever.
It's called Fuck Hotel.
Fuck Hotel or something.
It's Fuck Hotel Island.
And she loves it. They have that show on every single night. And every time she puts it on, I'm mesmerized by it. Meanwhile, I'm watching an episode of a show that I make money podcasting about, and I'm falling asleep while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like The Bachelorette and The Bachelor are sort of like preschool, and Love Island's at least third grade. You know what I mean? Like it's child's play at this point, and it's a joke. And to your point, Chris Harrison left. Now, I don't know if people realize this, but I am a little bit of a prophet because I called it, go back in the archives, just before Matt's season began. I said, Chris Harrison's gone. He will be gone. He's not coming back. I did say that I thought Matt James would take over as host, but then I feel like he proved himself to be a snooze fest.
A dud.
Yep.
He's not only a snooze fest, he's a scumbag.
No,
he's a complete scumbag.
Matt is.
Yes.
I agree.
Oh my God.
I think he's a little bro. I wouldn't go as far as scumbag.
He's a scumbag.
We are not a monolith of opinion.
No, we are not.
You air your family grievances out in therapy or at dinner. You don't do it on TV and rat out your own horrible father on air.
He was the Chris Hansen of deadbeat dads when he brought his father in. But then also I don't want to even touch Rachel Kirkconnell at the final rose, and then you see him 2 days later hitting her up to stop by his fucking hotel or condo in Bed-Stuy, and then they're going to fucking ESPYs. He's just a disingenuous prick. Whatever. I don't want to lose
your point. Back to your point. You said, but
I said Chris Harrison's going to be gone, and I knew it because I saw that ABC was at a crisis, and they were like, we have to get rid of the old hosts and modernize these shows.
Yeah.
And so they got rid of Tom Bergeron and Dancing with the Stars, and I was like, Chris Harrison's next. So I think I'm throwing them a bone in the sense that I get it, that this is a period of change. And I think that they were like throwing spaghetti at the wall. I mean, they saw a lot going on, and they were like, we got to quick on our feet. We're in a global pandemic. But I agree with you. They've got to modernize the show. I've always said that one of the best things that they ever did was when Jesse Palmer was the host or the Bachelor, and they had his best friend's wife be a mole, and she lived with the women and was feeding him information.
Now, I like that.
They should do that, but bring a couple moles in and try to sabotage situations because the stakes are higher and it makes it more interesting. And you're always left to wonder, as I did with the mole in the Jesse Palmer show, are any of these moles really secretly in love with him? And then it gets a little bit more complicated, and it brings new life to the show, which I've interviewed an editor of the show before, and he's like, let me tell you something. I go through hours and hours of footage of them talking, and most of what they're talking about is lip gloss. So they need to make this show a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like the other shows are kicking their ass. Love is Blind, Love Island. I'm stuck in an island with a guy that I don't know. Oh, F-Boy Island on HBO Max is airing next week. By the way, created by Elin Gale, who worked on The Bachelor for years and years and years. So
to be hosted by Nikki Glaser.
People are leaving ship, and they're creating their own shows now. So it's like they're still stuck in bell bottoms, and we're moving towards the future. We're wearing crop tops.
I got two concepts. Let me pitch two concepts.
You need to pen a letter, Kate. You really do.
Kate, here's two concepts, because we have another show that we do on our network called PMZ, and I featured Tila Tequila in that show, a double shot at love, which was she had guys and girls. Now, we wouldn't get that crazy with Bachelorette, but here's my two different format changes. One is when you pick your partner, whether it be Bachelor or Bachelorette, we then move into a second stage of filming where we follow you for a year and in your house and like watch you make a TV baby and all that other fun
That's
stuff.
what happened on Love is Blind. Like, part of the amazing part of Love is Blind was one, morons proposing to one another without having seen one another. But then, living together, you have Barnett living with Amber, and she's like, hey, by the way, I got $25K in debt.
You want to go to Acapulco?
So yeah,
Can you buy me a Nissan?
Yeah, exactly.
Love is Blind, by the way, too hot to handle, Kate, as you mentioned, some other shows that are kicking The Bachelor's ass. Right. Ratings just in, 2.5 million people were watching The Bachelorette last week. So that is like their lowest ratings ever. All right, here's my other format change. This is a little too crazy and maybe a little too crazy for Bachelor, Bachelorette. We have a Bachelor and a Bachelorette. Why split up seasons? You have a house full of all the girls that want to be with the Bachelor and all the guys that want to be with the Bachelorette. Everyone's living a house, and know there's going to be a bunch of other romances happening on here. And that drama would be through the roof. And producers, if you're listening, you have to pay me if that show comes out of your production.
It's called ABC's The Bachelorette
Mix-Up.
At 2. ABC's The Bachelorette Mix-Up.
We could totally sell that show. And I like that because most of those contestants are pretending for the duration of filming that they're really into the lead. And we all know they're like, oh my God, if I have to kiss that person, I'm going to throw up. And this presents the opportunity for them to pursue their real romantic goal, the people that they're actually interested in, because I think they all suppress their personalities because they ultimately have the goal of either being the lead or becoming an Instagram influencer.
Well, there's also this problem with the end result of the show being this like this sacred thing where they're going to get married. Like, Too Hot to Handle, Fuck Island Hotel. It doesn't take itself so seriously. Like, they're just, but we're all watching this. It's postmodernism. The internet is reality. We're watching people compete to get married. Who gives a shit? This conversation about being there for the right reasons. If I hear that fucking phrase again, they're all there. They're all there.
I mean, to
glow up on Instagram?
We have people that were 6 years old that are competing on this show now when this first aired.
Right.
You don't think they've been coached up on all the stupid things and anecdotes they should say during the show? Yeah. It's all fake. It's pointless. Bachelor, Bachelorette needs a makeover, or I think they're really in trouble in the next year.
Tasha and Caitlyn being the host.
Call her Joker face.
It's not good enough.
You don't think Donkey Head Face, since he's been 6 years old, has been studying this franchise, hoping
we're talking about Blake, the guy she's probably going to pick.
I was trying to talk about Hunter. I thought,
Pat.
I get your nicknames mixed up. I was trying to use his own nickname.
Well, he gets his own mix.
I call Caitlyn Bristow Joker Head because she's had way too much fill on her face. It's disturbing.
Hunter and Blake both.
I love Caitlyn because she is one of the only people that I've interviewed post show who's like, yeah, a lot of it was bullshit. Like, I loved it. She told me, she's like, I got so fat because I drank the whole time because I was so depressed during filming. I was like, what am I doing with my life?
She is the best.
Depressed? She was getting banged by Nick Viall.
What do you mean? That's super depressing.
And Pillow Talk, hearing about his subscription box company. That was his goal back in the day before he became the biggest podcast,
Gentlemen's Club,
the mayor of Bachelor Nation.
No, I think she's real too. She's my wife and I's favorite Bachelorette. That was like the best season. It was subversive.
Yeah,
it was. I loved her.
I really loved JoJo. I love JoJo. I don't know why.
JoJo?
Yeah, I don't know why. I was in love with her.
She's gorgeous.
So
That's why
beautiful.
You loved her.
Yeah, so
beautiful.
But no, there was also something else. I swear it.
How many black men she put in jail?
Here's the question I have with Katie. I'm like, is she boring or just too normal? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's real? Why am I not caring at all about? By the time it's like 45 minutes into the episode, and I'm like, I could watch something else on Hulu.
Yeah,
She's
Married at
definitely
First Sight
not
just
normal because she's calling her mom asking if she douches her ass before she has anal sex and stuff like that. So there's something there.
I think that's her not being authentic, and she's got these like dual personalities. One, she wants to be like this sex positive, progressive bachelor who brings us into the future.
Right.
But really, she's a daddy's girl. I loved her on that date with Greg when they went out and fish, and she was like making him look like a little sissy man because he didn't know how to pop up a tent. That was the most entertaining she's been to me, and we haven't seen that a lot because she wants to be something else.
Kate, my answer is Katie is fine. She's a snorefest, but the Bachelorettes normally can be not as interesting because it's about the suitors. In this particular season, the suitors have never been more of a snorefest. I mean, when they did the Men Tell All last night,
It's the same with The Bachelor too. I mean, it's
the women are much more fun. Like The Bachelor is more popular for a reason. It's fun to have all the girls, the crazy ones.
what I'm saying is I don't think it's ever about the lead.
Exactly. That's my point.
The humor comes from, the cast.
The cast.
And this year is horrible.
But who was the funniest Bachelor ever? Was Charlie O'Connell, Jerry's brother.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, I think it has been said that he was suffering from alcoholism during duration filming.
Sounds hilarious.
Badly about that, but I gotta say, he made that show so funny because he didn't take it seriously. Whereas I think other leads are like, they really start to believe they're like a knight in shining armor.
This sounds like just like Monica Geller's ex-boyfriend, Fun Bobby. Everybody loved hanging out with him, but they found out he was a vicious alcoholic.
He was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Such a bummer. But he
Kate
was
knew.
really the greatest.
Kate, we were just talking before we started recording. Like, one of the bummers of this year of the Bachelor or Bachelorette franchise is technically we are getting one cycle of The Bachelor, which we much prefer, and 4 cycles of Bachelorette. So it was Claire Makes My Skin Crawly, replaced by Tayshia. Then we get Matt. That was a horrible season. And then we get Boring Katie. And then we have Michelle coming up to bat. Like, more Bachelor, please.
Michelle's going to be great, though. I'm actually very confident in that season.
I think Michelle's going to be great. We are not monolithic here. I prefer The Bachelorette because it's just so funny to see 30 dumbasses rut the way that they do on this show. But let's mix in a Bachelor season,
please.
Yeah,
please.
Let's have it be Michael A, and it'll be about rearing children while being 10,000 miles away from them, or however far.
Are we thinking that Michael will be the next Bachelor? And are you excited about Bachelor in Paradise?
I'll take the first one. I do think Michael A is going to be the Bachelor. Did you see this online? I saw this circling the interwebs. My compatriots have not seen it, but they said they are casting for the Bachelor. We're looking for single women, divorcees, and single mothers. I feel
I would say that's a good clue then. Sure.
I feel like it's a lock that it's going to be Michael A, and he is genuinely there looking for someone who will mother his son Jack. So
that's their best bet for people to be interested and invested, because they'll think there's a possibility that he won't pick a horrible person. But if you get one of the other single guys, you're going to go, well, 2 years from now, he's going to be bartending in the West Village.
Right. But I don't want
sleeping with a lot of women.
I don't want to watch a season of earnest single parents talking about their children.
You know what? Maybe you're right.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't want a bunch of 23-year-old thirsty Instagram models trying to fake it too, though.
Well, so that's what Fuck Hotel Island is.
That's so true.
You know?
Yeah. You guys might need to change the theme of your show.
That's why we've spun off, but we've got this audience that just won't go away. So what do you do?
What do you do?
I don't know if I told you this before, but I'm friends with John Paul Jones. And so
I just launched a podcast.
He was like, Kate, the people who watch the show are really young. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, no, seriously. So I announced I'm going to be interviewing him. Send me your questions. And it immediately became clear, because most of the time people ask me questions like, can you ask them about how they felt when they were humiliated on national television? Something like that.
Right. Mean.
All of the questions were either, does he wear boxers or briefs, or what's his astrological sign? And I'm like, oh, this show is really watched by like 16 to 20-year-olds.
It's because of the prevalence of these influencers moving from Instagram to TikTok. And like they have massive followings on there. And I think that's why it doesn't reflect in the ratings. They just shows it goes down every season because these younger people are streaming it and they don't show up in the Nielsen.
True.
What this might lead us to think, if Bachelor does not want to kill this franchise, maybe Michael A. I mean, how many sororities are watching this around the United States on every Monday night? You think they're going to want to hear about James? Like, I don't think they want a single dad. I think they want someone in the middle, a single guy, a good looking guy. I don't
You know what? You're right. And unless they give him like a good, like One Direction makeover and he like gets some abs.
Yeah, but how do we get rid of the fucking kid?
Right. That's like a big fat buzz.
Hey, can I be a total dick? And you tell me if I'm wrong, because Kate, you and I are the only two people on this podcast that have children. I'm not being judgy, but I'm going to be judgy. If it wasn't for Michael's quiet demeanor and just kind of overall kind of nice guy kind of vibe, what he was doing was pretty atrocious to his kid, James, in my opinion. Atrocious. Sorry.
Awful. Thank you.
His mother died and his wife died. And within a year, he's on a fucking dating show to do some self-therapy for himself.
Pat.
Yes.
He had a work trip.
I couldn't do it. I think if he was like one of those other guys, like a jerk, had a more jerky demeanor, we'd all hate him. We'd be like, go back to your kid, you fucking horrible father.
Yeah.
But since he's such a nice guy, we're like, oh, Michael, he just needs to find love. And
Maybe encyclopedia.
By the way, didn't the child say something? Didn't his son say something?
Said, why don't you want to talk to me anymore?
Because Disney had a gun to his head.
Yeah, like, are you mad at me? I think every parent was like, dude.
Get on the plane, get that 3:30 out of Albuquerque.
I wish I could pull the name. I can't remember.
By the way, and the kid's in the global pandemic, so he's being homeschooled right now.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you. Thank you.
That kid is going to get fucked up from this couple months. But the saddest one was Juan Pablo and that girl.
Camila,
the terrible ballet dancer, but
Renee.
Mm-hmm. when he goes to Renee's hometown and she sees the kid for the first time, she's going to a softball game and he's walking alongside of him like, is this my new dad, this fucking bigot from Nicaragua? What the fuck?
Venezuela.
So fucked up. Sorry, Venezuela.
That was the worst guy.
I have to stand up for Michael though, because like it's 6 weeks. He literally was FaceTiming the child every day, and now he has way more money that will set up this kid. Like it really, I think that proved he was there for the wrong reasons. He's like, this is a work trip. All right. Daddy's putting 146K on my Instagram right now.
No, hold on.
You're right. That was the most honest phraseology ever used in the history of the show.
I'm working.
Daddy is working.
Bullshit.
No.
That's what every single mother that goes on, or single father that goes on American Idol and they get the top 12. Oh, I'm doing this for Jonathan. Oh, sure you are. Sure
That's
you
true
are.
too.
Give me a break.
Yeah, that's true too.
Is it not true that he's going to be more well off financially having gone on this show? And do you think 6 weeks is going to destroy the kid? The kid's mother already died.
Yes. 6 weeks. When your mother died in this pandemic and you're living with grandma and dad's on a dating show, yes, that will affect you.
I think parents are irrelevant. It will all turn out how it will turn out. As evidenced by you and I.
We have fucked up childhoods.
Yeah.
My mother moved to England for a year. Didn't work out well.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I had a pretty
Kate.
I had a pretty good childhood.
Oh, not me. I was sent away to a school for underprivileged children. So I salute
sick.
you all.
You look like you did okay.
Yeah, I'm okay now, but yeah.
I don't want to play this game, but both my parents are schizophrenic drug addicts. So
take that, Kate.
Take that.
My dad speaks with a fake Irish brogue. He now presents himself as an Irishman when he grew up and went to school in Philadelphia suburbs.
Is he married to Alec Baldwin?
That sounds like a positive to me.
My dad is the original Ilaria Baldwin.
Yeah.
And when he met my husband, because I didn't speak to my dad between 2 and 33. And he told my dad, he put in a disc of a documentary in Ireland about the Irish peace process. By the way, it was narrated by Bono. And you hear my dad's voice and he's telling a story about the bell tower. And my husband's like, so you were in the bell tower? And he winks at him and like pushes his elbow against him. And he goes, it's just Hollywood. No, it's a fucking documentary. Okay.
This certainly explains
what I deal with.
Maybe we're all bonded by horrible childhoods. That's what brought us into the podcast game.
That's why we all love reality TV, because it's people who are absolutely bonkers.
Well, no, I had a pretty good childhood, actually.
Well, there's exceptions.
And your childhood is like, it's not, there's a lot of unique stuff in his parental dynamic that I think shaped your.
His father killed a bunch of people in Vietnam. He spilled blood.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
He's a mountain man from West Virginia who married a Jewish yunta from New York. I mean, it's a great dichotomy.
Yeah. Anyways. So fucking Bachelor. That's so goddamn fucking boring.
How about Erica Jane?
Oh my God. Can we talk about that for a second?
All right. So I'm in and out of Beverly Hills because I got like 10 shows I got to recap with these guys. Did you watch last night's episode of Beverly Hills?
I did. And I don't know if you know this, but my friend Jay is the one that sued Erica in federal court, Erica and Tom, and has been on my show to talk about it.
What did he sue them for?
For basically for on behalf of all those victims, screwing them over, embezzling money. So yeah, you got to go back and listen to those. But yeah, what are your thoughts as the outsider? Because I'm like so far deep into Housewives for years and years. Do you think she's lying?
Yes. Okay. So my wife and I got in a little bit of a tiff over this last night because she's like, all right, I don't get it. Is she protecting her husband or is she protecting herself? I said, both of them are in save your own ass mode. And, you know, although it is kind of fun watching it this season, it should just be called the Erica Jane propaganda season because they are allowing her to essentially set her legal arguments, which is, well, he was in a car accident, so now his brain doesn't work, or and I got a divorce and I haven't talked to him, or I didn't. She's basically laying out her case for America before our eyes, and they're allowing her to do it. I mean, she's full of shit. But
so here's the thing.
You're saying that the car accident story is just part of a long form plan to establish that he has some sort of brain damage, cognitive difficulties, et cetera, et cetera. But according to Jay, my friend, the attorney, he said that for them, they believe that every episode she's digging herself a bigger hole because none of the stories kind of add up. And he believes that Tom does not actually have dementia.
I haven't met Tom. I can't speak to this except to say, from a legal standpoint, a lawyer would tell you don't fucking do this show. The more you talk, as you're saying, you're digging a hole because now they're going to pull her in a deposition. And they're going to take this transcript out and they're going to say, when was the date of the car accident? And then they're going to, that's what lawyers do. And her life is going to be pretty much hell for the next 3 to 5 years.
Maybe they have hubris and maybe they're thinking we can use this opportunity. It's the Hail Mary to save our ass. But I think that it's very, very clear that she's using her salaried performance on the show to try to prevent herself from going to jail. I mean, she's like, I never told you that my husband almost died in a car accident. Maybe because it didn't fucking happen. Maybe that's why you didn't bring it up.
If you're running a Ponzi scheme that makes Bernie Madoff look like some shitty Facebook MLM, then why or how do you allow your wife, I know she has her own agency, to go on a TV that sticks you in the limelight?
I'll tell you why. Because he had a stranglehold on the Los Angeles legal marketplace and had gotten away with it for so long.
He was invincible.
And that he was like, no one will ever screw with me. I've got the judges under my thumb. I have other law firms. Like no one, I can do anything I want. My son-in-law is a police officer. Like nothing.
He's a maid.
Nothing phases me.
He's making all these contributions to. He's getting other judges' appointments. So you think that judge you got? I mean, look, it's all effed up. All right. So one other point on Erica. Think about this. She's a horrible person.
Before we switch on the legal stuff. So is the lawyer that you talk to, is he someone who's not from California?
No, he filed. Yeah, he's in Chicago. He filed the suit in a Chicago federal court. And the reason he did so was because he wanted to make the point that
everything's corrupt in LA and in his pocket.
City, like you can't control the outcome. You don't have power over him. And so he has told me that he has voicemails where Tom is encouraging him to drop the suit. And so that would really be difficult for someone outside, like a judge, to go, oh yeah, that guy's got dementia.
And last question before you ask the more Erica Jane stuff. Are the people who are now like in his back pocket and stuff, are they kind of just throwing their hands up and flipping on him? Or does he still have a lot of people in his corner?
No one's in his corner. No,
I think the
nobody.
rats are running off
Yeah.
the boat. So with Erica, so think about this. So up until last season, I get it's all fake, and all these ladies, when they're saying that their guy's going down on them 3 times a day, is all bullshit. Erica Jane had that rap. He's the best guy. You see, when you
totally.
look at him, do you get it
She's
now?
been lying on the show for years. Why does anybody
Years.
think it's any different now?
I think she's been lying for 20 years. I think she's a horrible I think she is a broken, like, moral character, human
Right.
being. So say,
And also, really quickly, you have to be pretty calculated to marry him,
yeah.
right? Because, you're making a
Yeah.
reptilian decision. I'm marrying a bag of fucking flesh and bone because he's got a ton of fucking money. He cheated on her multiple times. She was like, what the fuck am I going to do? She did it for the money. It's always been her motivation. And now it's the
Now
same
the money's
motivation.
gone.
Protect
Now
the
the money's gone.
Well, the
so
money's
leave.
gone, but now she has an opportunity to protect it and not go to jail. I mean, this is just it's death rattles.
Well, the episode they had last night, they had frozen her assets, hers and his. That's what happens when you're married. It's part of it. But she threw him under the bus because she's releasing texts that were from years ago of him cheating on her. So now she's airing that out to kind of lay out this case. Oh, he was a cheater, so he was effing, like we were split apart. I think she's making that case because she's trying to say, hey, we didn't really talk that much. We were living separate lives. She's trying to make that case. Then she's like, he has dementia over here. And then she's like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to him anymore. Well, all right. You've been saying you love this guy. He's got the Girardi effect. Now you realize he may have fucked over some people. And the first thing you do is, I'm done with this guy. The guy's got dementia and you're done with him. Which is it? She's making the case that as horrible as he is, wouldn't you be a supportive wife if the guy has dementia?
I mean, not if you find out that he's worse than Bernie Madoff.
Well, you've been burning through his money at $60,000 a month. It shows that you have no respect for money either.
Well, if she didn't know what he was doing.
I think that if you were a really good cast member of the show, what you should say to her is, for several years, you've told us that he's a really supportive husband and he's made all your dreams come true. And now you're telling us that he's been abusive to you this whole time.
Right.
So why should we believe you now? Why?
I'll tell you what, Kate, delete everything I just said 5 minutes ago. You just summed it up in 30 seconds. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. She's a fucking filthy liar. She's going to jail. That's it. She's going to jail.
But will she go to jail? I don't know if she'll go to jail. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I'll tell you this, in the city of Los Angeles, because I used to work in the legal field, people were terrified of Tom Girardi. And it's interesting, even talking to Jay, he'll say, I cannot tell you how many notes I'm getting from other lawyers, emails. They're so glad that we're talking about this because they lived in fear of him for so long. So I'm just saying, number one, she was witness to that. And one could argue, well, maybe she was in an abusive marriage and she couldn't stand up to it. But
Totally.
I don't think you can play smart and stupid.
Yeah.
Are
Right.
you smart or are you stupid?
Right.
Because you seem pretty smart. Jay, the attorney, says he thinks she's much smarter than he is. But I also think we can all judge on one thing in fairness, and that's how she has reacted to all of this. So instead of acknowledging victims or just saying,
Right.
this is an incredibly difficult period of time for me, and I'm just trying to take a moment and, calibrate or something. She poses in these pictures with her butt up in the air, and then they're very vain, and she just doesn't, it totally disassociates from any responsibility or the victim stories in such a disgusting way that it's really hard to have any empathy for her at all.
Well, how about this? So we do know that, just basically what I guess that Page 6 article had on the show the night before, and we found out 6 months ago when they were filming, some funds have been laundered around into different accounts, and a outrageous amount of money went into her corporation. Right. And so that's probably what's going to get her in trouble is the laundering. I think I've heard some people say it was 2 million. Others have said it's up to $20 million.
She was consulting.
Of course. But if you know there's victims out there, if you're going to be a human being and then understand that your husband may have done horrible things, wouldn't you as a moral human being say, I'm opening up my books and my bank accounts to you. I lay myself at the altar and just say, judge me as you will.
Let me ask a quick cue, and sorry, because I'm not super aware of the entire situation, which should surprise you because I've been talking a lot on it.
In fairness, we have not been privy to the documents, so we don't actually know either.
So what kind of law did he practice? Because
personal injury.
He was a plaintiff's attorney.
Okay. How much money was he worth?
Okay, here's
because even really
at one point to have $100 million, and I would always go, "Oh, listen, I know a lot of lawyers. They don't have private jets.
I know
something's off here.
I've
always said that.
Yeah, I know some pretty big lawyers, and don't get me wrong, they're fucking rich. I mean, they are rich, but they're not that rich, and they practice.
That's what I'm saying too.
Law that is, heavily paid for. I mean, mergers and acquisitions and shit like that, where you actually make good money. A plaintiff's attorney. What are we talking about? How does he have so much fucking money?
Like he was like the Aaron Brockovich attorney. So it's mass settlements for victims. But what we all came to realize afterwards is that he was paying, the Pied Piper, whatever that is. Like he was shifting money around and
taking from Peter to pay Paul.
It was a Ponzi scheme.
Settlement. But what is really the biggest thing that he did was he stole from clients.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
And also that whole bullshit racket that was in that. What a great doc. It was. What was the doc? It was the housewife and the hustler.
It's expensive to be me.
Yeah.
And what he did was he'd say, I have a financial firm. Would you like to invest in my and we'd know where that money would go with that investment. That was one of the more evil diabolical things.
There's another documentary that they're working on right now about it. But it's going to be more about behind the scenes of how the law firm tried to get money back for the victims. So there will be more to come. Yeah.
Wow. Oof.
Well,
but another interview I did is with the executive producer of the show as the season began. That's another good one to listen to. And I asked him, were you at all worried about the footage, like that your footage might be taken as part of some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Seizure,
deposition,
subpoena, deposition,
discovery,
gavel.
There you go. Thank
gavel.
You. I asked him, were you
Pat's
at all
been sued
worried
a lot.
that some of your footage may be taken as part of a discovery process? And he said, our job is to just film. So I said to my team, we're going to show up and we're going to film and we're going to keep filming.
What a leader.
We cannot think about, well, is this going to make someone look bad? Is this going to be seized? We just have to film and see what happens.
But Kate, don't you love the hatchet job they're doing on her? Like they zoom into her closet on the shoes and then the jewelry. Like they are having a lot of fun.
Which is kind of interesting because then Jay told me that he has a team that are going through every single episode and they're taking copious notes of all the things they see, every piece of jewelry, every bag,
it's
everything.
So stupid to do this, but
that's her only income now. So
it sounds like it's better than watch this, Segui. Real Housewives of New York.
Are you watching, Kate?
Yes, I just had Ebony on my show last week.
What?
Yeah.
How was it?
I think she's great. I don't think she belongs on the show. She's too smart. She's too smart. But you know what else this show doesn't work is like, I think that each franchise should encapsulate the women of that city. New York should have cool, young women who a woman who is has either works or has close proximity to like the Knicks and then hedge funds.
Yes.
It's like all these things that have to do are synonymous with New York.
Yes.
And we've seen the same women for so long.
Right.
And they've sort of revealed all they can about their lives. Like, we have nothing left to learn. And now there's such a big age disparity between Ebony and someone like Ramona. They have nothing in common.
Right.
And the show doesn't work anymore. So
you think that's why the show doesn't work?
Listen,
you have to like modernize the show.
Oh, that was a bad one.
You have to have women who don't look just like, women who live on the Upper East Side who, are rich and white. You got to modernize it. You got to have women with cool jobs who've got like stuff going on, not like
Totally.
you know, I don't even know what Ramona does anymore. Does she even have a job?
Well,
I'm sure she did.
She
wants to be a real estate agent now, but like,
yeah, I love
Luann's
that.
job is like, I'm a cabaret star. It's so ridiculous.
Ramona's like, what? You can't call it a master bedroom. I mean, what are we talking about? You can't call it a master bed. What am I going to call it? But no, you're 100% right. It's bringing Ebony on is akin to having Tayshia and Caitlyn replace Chris Harrison. It's not enough. And
you know what it is? It's like, it's the same thing because it's a show that needs to be modernized and it's this awkward period. And it's like, it'll work in like 2 seasons from now,
right?
But it just doesn't work now.
Well, I also think it's a very disingenuous way to garner woke currency, and it doesn't work because of what you said. Lou, Ramona, Sonia, they're I'm not going to, go into ageism or anything, but they're just not, there's not a big enough crossing of the Venn diagram for this to be productive.
Well, I think you just look at them and you're like, they're not, when you're watching the show, you don't get a sense that they have enough intersection. Like there's enough in common that
right.
They wouldn't necessarily be friends outside of the show.
Right.
And that's what people want to see on a Real Housewives show. They want to see, listen, it's at its best when it's a show about complicated women, their complicated friendships, and living in complicated times. Like that's what works.
Right.
And it's really a show about a bunch of different people who happen to be at the same restaurant or something. Like they don't have anything that kind of crosses over. So it's just in a weird period. I'm sure it'll be fine in a season or two, but now it's just not working.
I love that point. She doesn't seem like she fits in, and she will continually say this. She's like, I'm still getting to know these group of women and like figure out how they work. Then why are you there? Don't eat with them and go out. That wouldn't really happen. But I object to your point about like, it needs to be like the show needs to be updated. I don't think it does. It needs to be these drunk, out of touch women fighting with each other and keep it that we don't have to touch the social issues on this show.
Yeah, but at the same time, the problem I have watching it is like all of the women, because the show's been on so long, and the meme culture has sort of compromised the authenticity of the storytelling because they're and I know this because they tell this to me privately, is that they're celebrated for being over the top, exaggerated versions of themselves.
Yeah.
So if they're falling into bushes, it's like, girl, keep going. You're gonna, and then the other ones who are just kind of like normal, they're always being called out by me in the meme culture, like you should be fired, get off the show.
Yeah.
So you see it in other franchises where they show up and they're one person. The second season, they want to be like, they're like rehearsed sound bites. They have a nickname for themselves. They're selling candles. They're selling bangle bracelets. And you're like, wait, I thought that you were like this, and now you're trying to be something else. So I just think it's like The Bachelor. It's been on way too long. All these people that are coming onto the show have studied the show for way too long.
Yeah.
They come in with their own tagline in their head already.
Right.
They probably wrote in their college, or their high school yearbook is probably like, what's your dream? To be on the Real Housewives of Milwaukee or whatever it is,
Right. Well,
dumb.
I'm with you. I think there needs to be a passing of the guard. It will be a sad one. I will miss Lou and Ramona and Sonia, but I think eventually, it needs to. I love the show that you're talking about. It's like it's Sex in the City, but it's
Sex in the City, but yes,
but it's reality television, and there is there are young women professionals who, one is a gallery owner, one works for the bloodsuckers on Wall Street.
Keep going.
Yes. So we do that, but the sobriety thing is tough when you have an aging cast, because nobody wants to see Sonia be as fucking blackout as she is. It's so sad.
And then you don't want to have interventions every 2 episodes.
No, and the sobriety thing is fucking boring. Lou I've loved Lou this season, but okay, just go drink.
Come on, darling.
Go drink.
I'm still drinking.
Go drink the frosé somewhere else and just relax. Don't be on camera anymore. Just relax.
Wouldn't it be great if they had somebody who like worked for the Yankees or like something that was like such a New York kind of like, the thing I love about New Yorkers, for example, is like, because I live in Southern California now, but I'm from back east. It's like a New Yorker is like, I worked out 2 times today. I was in the office for 14 hours.
Right.
I have 2 children named Barron and Presley.
Yep.
I'm going to go to a charity event, and
Yes.
I'll probably see 3 hours and try come at me, motherfucker.
Yes, exactly.
Like that's what I want to watch. I want to watch an intense woman who will just be direct. She'll be like, "Listen, jackass, I don't want you at your party. I hate your husband.
Right.
You guys don't make enough money to hang out with me,
Right.
and you better leave my party."
I worked
what
I
you
worked a
wanna watch.
14-hour day, ate with my
Yeah.
children, went out and drank until 2:30 in the morning, woke up at 6, made them breakfast, went to work.
I hope Bravo
Yeah.
producers aren't listening because we just gave them like 3 shows
So
tonight.
many good ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing
Because like how many friends do we have that worked on Wall Street and they were in like their 20s and they're like, oh my god, we were like they were like we were all doing lines of coke and then we would like
bottle
go home at
service.
2 and then we would be up at 6. And so that's
Losing
when I
everybody
think
their
of
money.
New Yorkers. I just think of intense.
Yes.
I think it. Can we one thing? And Kate, I don't know if we'll get us in trouble with your audience, but it has to be said because we did Real Housewives of New York and we decided to stop doing it. We agreed that race and certain issues should be discussed on shows, but we didn't feel like Real Housewives of New York was the proper venue in every episode, in every conversation to infuse the discussion of race.
The thing is, we're just going to get into trouble as 3 white guys joking about anti-racism versus racism. But Pat's that we've been talking about it. The thing where Ebony told Ramona and educated her about domestics and why you can't say help. Great.
Made sense.
That was an awesome moment in the show. But then
Right.
every fucking episode is something about it. And
Well,
it's,
you know what I think a lot of a lot of this stuff happens to be about things that are off camera. So this was filmed in like that scene was maybe November,
Right.
or, you
Sure.
know, around election
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
But apparently, I think Ramona had posted on her Instagram in October.
Oh, yeah.
Someone had something about Black Lives Matter, and she wrote "All Lives Matter."
Right.
So when Ebony's going into the show, she hasn't met Ramona,
Right.
and she's like, that's when she's saying, I just need to know from a fundamental level that you look at me as an equal human being. And Ebony's like, I can't really go past that. And also, Ramona doesn't want to have a conversation. Like you'll see on Beverly Hills, Garcelle and Kyle have a conversation. And Kyle's like, I never thought about it that way. That's so interesting. I'm so sorry about it. And then they move on. But in New York, Ramona won't even have a conversation.
Sure,
So
but
that's why that's the trip.
But it was more than that, Kate. If you watch it, it's and sometimes in every single scene of that Ebony is in. I don't even know who else she is outside of discussing that because it's infused so much. And again, I don't have a problem with that. And the example I made, which was absolutely stupid, but please hear me out, was I said, look, would you hate a show that you thought, say it's Real Housewives of New York, and Luann had become a big fan of Star Wars. So every scene, Luann comes in and says, I love Rise of Skywalker. And it turns out in every single episode she talks about Star Wars, we'll start going, this isn't the show. I want to see old women talk about banging young bartenders and then pretending to make out with each other. I don't want to hear about fucking Star Wars anymore.
Well, I think it just goes back to they don't really have any real connection
Connections
to one another. So
Totally.
it's
And
all just so odd.
here's the thing.
Just-
Well,
and one other thing.
Yeah.
They only have 5 cast members this season. Which
Right.
Is
Well,
not enough either.
Bashan's kind of there.
Yeah, Brashan is incredible. Bravo is the kind of network where they probably have a responsibility to cover this kind of stuff. The problem with having Ebony talk to Ramona about it is we're watching somebody try to push a fucking boulder up a hill. I mean, Ramona's hanging out with Trump Jr. in
Right.
Florida talking to Ebony about Frederick Douglass. It's not going to work.
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 Peanuts.
Yeah.
Hopefully that didn't offend your audience, Kate.
I hope not too, because
We're 3 white guys that don't know anything.
we don't know anything. We don't know anything.
We don't know anything. Can we sell?
I know.
Can we pitch our podcast on your show? Another Below Deck podcast?
Well, hang on really quickly.
Please.
Oh, speaking of Below Deck, what is wrong with you? It's such a dereliction of duty that you're not watching Below Deck Mediterranean season 6.
It is an incredible season. It's one of the hot. I would rank it number 3 all time thus
Yeah,
far.
it's really
Really?
good. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Can I tell you another funny, weird thing about Below Deck? So I found out that a girl that was on the season 2 of Below Deck is
I
now
know this.
Jennifer Lopez's assistant. So I wrote her and asked her, will you come on the show? she said, it just seems odd that you would ask because I haven't really been on social media for a while. Why now? And I mean, it's like, well, hello. But I just, I did say, listen, I interview a lot of people that were on shows a long time ago just to kind of see how it changed their trajectory of their life. And then she came back and said, I'd have to ask my boss. And then ultimately she's like, look, it's just a massive conflict of interest. I didn't know if she meant that the conflict of interest is that I was the one that did the interview with Danny from Southern Charm that ended up
A-Rod.
getting the A-Rod story about him
Nice.
FaceTiming with Madison. So I thought,
Bravo.
did she go back to J-Lo and say, hi, listen, I know we're on a boat. I know I have a lot of shit to do. Quick question for you. Can I just do a 15-minute Zoom in the parlor with the KKC? And was J-Lo like,
fuck that.
fuck that. No. Right?
She took the saber that they were busting the corks out of champagne bottles with,
right?
And almost fucking decapitated her. That's what happened.
I am just incredibly impressed by the power of your podcast. Like the ripple effects, like the lawyer in this massive Ponzi scheme case, like one of the biggest pop culture stories. We might possibly get Geely too. Us. You got us on there?
The three of us.
And not to toot my own horn, but Anima from Shaw's of Sunset was on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah.
And Andy asked him, how about the fact that you talked about growing up with Meghan Markle, going to high school with her? I interviewed him. And in the course of the interview, he said, I went to school with Meghan Markle. And I was like, well, what was that like? And he said, well, she hooked up with my friend and then she ghosted him. And we were all like into her, but she was very aloof. And he's like, did the blah, blah, blah. So the minute he said it, I was like, this is some good stuff, right? Like, because everyone wonders about Meghan Markle. So it posts, and then all these international papers went wild for anything having to do with Meghan Markle. So Andy's like, and he said, well, I got death threats from the Meghan Markle army, and people were angry. But he never said it was my podcast.
He won't give it to us, that punk. Andy hates us too. Screw Andy.
Ugh. So frustrating.
Question about your career, because you're kind of what we strive to be one day. Was there an inflection point on your podcast where it became like you took like a leap, or has it just been grinding away, steady growth? Because she's up to 5,000 reviews.
I think she popped a little bit more in the last year and a half. I've been monitoring Kid Casey for years now.
I do think that there were there were definitely some stories that went viral that helped. I do think expanding it to not just reality shows, so covering docuseries and documentaries. Like I'll interview the executive producer of the Tiger Woods documentary and talk for 45 minutes about Tiger Woods. Or I did The Last Dance with Michael Jordan's biographer. And so there was just a statistic that came out that
Sam Smith,
6.5% of people are watching reality shows, but in terms of all the genres, and it's like up to like 11% now are documentaries. So I do think I was smart to add that to the unscripted umbrella, because ultimately I think that people's viewing habits are changing, and that they're tired of the same shows like Real Housewives and The Bachelor.
Right.
And they're hungry for stories that are new and different and exciting and show a window into the rest of the world. So
like fuck Hotel Island.
Exactly. Or like Tiger King. You know, like people went bananas for that in a way that they didn't for,
there was
episode 6 of Below Deck.
There was a meth head with a mullet eulogizing a man and talking about kissing his balls. I mean, that's just inherently very interesting.
Well, what? In that episode, I asked the guy that he had spent a week there with Tiger King. And I asked him what kept that guy John there. And he said, well, he had lied to him and said he was dying of cancer. So he was already on drugs, and then the guy told him he was dying of cancer, so that's what kept him there.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
But he ended up getting married to the receptionist, and he got new teeth.
Well, shame on you for not watching Below Deck. But
our bread and butter.
If you have the time, I would say to watch, because it has one of the most neuroses infected chefs we've seen in a while. And
I have seen her.
No. It's the guy Matt, who is he's a fidgety pigeon. He's quit. I think we're on episode 6. He's quit 7.5 times. And
why is he quitting? Can't handle it.
he's a fake. So first episode, he gets this job, says that he is a private chef for Bob Kraft and all of these.
Stop it.
There is
But
no
wait,
way.
it's not true.
No, it's not true. The only way you could be a private chef for Bob Kraft is if you worked at 11 Madison Park and you don't want to work in 3 Michelin star dining anymore. Then you can go work for Bob Kraft and pull in $300,000 a year working, 20 hours a week. Not this guy who can barely whip up chicken tenders. But the first day he orders a Mack truck of provisions to try and flex, like, I'm the chef, this is my boat, this is what I'm going to do. And he gets a panic attack because it's too much stuff. He doesn't know what to do with it. So he says, my knee hurts too badly. And then he leaves the boat to go get an MRI. The sea rats, the deck crew and the stews cook the dinner for the people who are paying $60,000 a day, and get a Croatian gypsy named Dushka from another boat to come over, who leaves the silver skin on the fucking meat they're eating. It is unbelievable season.
That's
and
great.
we haven't even talked about Lexi. Lexi is one of the greatest villains we've seen.
Yeah, it's a great season.
This is the same season where a gal had an affair or made out, and then we find out she had a baby.
No, that was last season. That was amazing.
That was last season.
That was Below Deck's Yachting season 2. This is now Below Deck Med. It is now 52 weeks out of the year. They have 3 different spin-offs, and they're adding 2 more. Below Deck Iceland and one other.
What was the baby thing?
Now, did you know, by the way?
Danny had a baby.
Oh, Danny had a
with
baby.
John Luke,
That's
big
right.
giant
That's
jolly
right.
dumbass.
Did you know that Mark Cronin, who created Below Deck, also created The Surreal Life that's coming back? He also did Rock of Love with Brett Michaels and Flavor of Love with
We did Flavor of Love.
We did Flavor of Love.
We actually recapped Flavor of Love.
One of the worst reality television shows in the history of television.
No, so that's
52 Minds, right?
episode. That's my favorite episode I ever did. Episode 121 is with Mark Cronin, and we went and talked about Rock of Love with Brett Michaels. Did I ever tell you the story how they had to teach him how to date because he only had groupies? So they're like,
Right.
You have to
he only knew how to rape.
Name? Like, what's your parents' name? Do you have a job? And then Flavor Flav gave nicknames to all the contestants. So one of the girls' name was something, but they were filming, and this girl, like, she had to go to the bathroom, but it was like, she would want to go, but then not, because then filming would start up.
She took a shit on the steps.
She sure did. So when they were recording it, all of a sudden they hear something shit on the floor, and they were like confused for a little bit, and they're like, no, something, like the girl, she shit on the floor.
Yeah.
So then they sent it back to the network, and the network was like, we cannot air this. We can't.
Right.
And then they said, but everybody in the house is talking about it. So if we don't, that's like 2 days of footage lost. So they ended up actually using
they got 3 seasons out of that Flavor of Love. They got to bring back a ridiculous dating show like that where we can all laugh. Get an aging, bloated rock star that's bald but wears a ridiculous wig.
What happened to Fred Durst from like Limp Bizkit?
Let's get him on the show.
Yeah.
Let's get him back. Let's good.
Let's
bring the band back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's HBO Max content right there. Well, anyways, I think that we've significantly bored your audience at this point, right?
No, not at all. No, they love it all. They love rock and roll stories. They like sports. They like romance shows. They like what you bring to the table.
Well, thank you for having us. And we're going to steal your idea. I think we should start covering documentaries.
Why are you two guys still single? I mean, if you watch reality shows, this is like such an easy thing to get a girl to talk to you about.
Pat and Dylan are married, and I've been I live with my girlfriend.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, we're
when are you going to get married, or you're just not sure?
Not sure.
Yeah. What about thoughts and children? Into it, not into it, not sure.
I'm just mortified at the idea of it.
I'm incredibly into it. I thought when I was 13 I would have children by the age of 26. That was my goal.
Yeah, but, no, I do not want children.
I just found out I'm having a son this week.
Stop it! Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
What is so unbelievable about this?
So
He's reproducing. That's what we do. It's not that crazy.
Dylan, you don't understand this. You're at the wrong age.
Cute.
Oh my god!
Wait a minute. What are you going to name him?
Luke.
Luke is a great name.
Luke
is a great name. Oh,
what's so great about Luke?
We love it.
You know why? Because Luke can be Secretary of State, a football player, a CEO, or a writer.
Right.
Or invent something that saves the world.
But you know what? My mom's always said this about me. Listen, this was her one bit of advice that I actually took. Well, I can't say the rest and stuff, but she said you have to think of a name that works when they're 5 and they're 50.
Yeah.
So can you be a Wendy?
No.
50? Can you be like a I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody. Don't write me letters, but like, can you be like a Chase at 50?
Yeah, no. You can't be a Braden at 75.
You can't be a Braden at 75. You can't.
This is my great grandfather Braden.
This is my son Skylar.
That's what I'm saying, right? Exactly. You get it.
Yeah.
They all come around.
Yeah, they all come around. I'm gonna name my firstborn Maury.
Maury.
Yeah.
Would be a great name.
I think
But
so
Maury,
too.
you know what? Maury can be 50, but Maury can't be 5.
Well, no,
You see what I'm saying?
He'll just be a pretty Jewy 5-year-old, but he'll make it through.
Oh, Maury. My grandfather was Murray. So,
Sounds like an
There you
Irish
go.
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pinned him.
Tell everybody where they can listen to your hilarious show.
They can find us if you search Another Bachelor Podcast or Another Below Deck Podcast. We also have a new property called Another Podcast Show. That is really where we unhinge from reality television, talk about really whatever, is at top of mind. If you really love us, you can go to patreon.com/Another Podcast Network, where we've got video of us. If you want to see that, we're incredibly good looking. So you have to go over there.
Now, we recapped Love is Blind. We recapped Juan Pablo's season from like 8 years ago.
Tons of
we
content.
did Flavor of Love, just the full seasons, like back catalog of podcasts.
And I would love to give an example of a story from another podcast show. Pat told us about an in-law he has that is confided in him and him only about his past gangbanging and murdering people.
Yes.
So much so
interesting.
that even his wife isn't even aware of it. But our listeners, our Patreon listeners, know.
The real family.
And she has no idea.
If she did, she wouldn't allow him in the house again. So I will keep that to my little self.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
assuming on your side, not hers.
yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh no, it's
It's
her,
a step.
it's her mother's new husband that she's been married to for about 10 years.
That tracks. Yeah. So he would feel comfortable to talk to you about it.
Once we have a couple pops in us in the backyard on a Sunday,
Yeah, I
he
was
feels the
gonna
need.
say.
I always tell the
That
audience, I think it's because he thinks I might have killed someone too.
Right.
You know,
I don't know.
I could see that. And is this happening during cornhole? What's going on?
This is when everyone else leaves, and then he like leers at me, and I'm like, "Oh no, here it comes, another confession. I don't want to be brought into this."
Right.
This could be totally like a Netflix documentary in 5 years. And I can't wait. And
Conversations
I can't wait
in the back with John.
Yeah.
And the stories just keep getting more detailed.
Yeah, so there's lots of crazy content over there. If you want to hear anything outside of the realm of reality television.
What if you had another podcast, but it's a true crime podcast, but you're working in reverse? So every episode, John's giving more details, and the onus is on the listeners to figure out what potential crime he may have committed.
What are you trying to give the producers of Bravo a fourth fucking show? Kate,
Yeah,
slow.
Kate,
slow
Kate, if
the
people want to
pipeline down.
listen
way too much free
IP,
They give it
Gavin
too much.
Goof, and speak actually pretty earnestly about a lot of this stuff, where can they find you?
Reality Life with Kate Casey every Wednesday and Friday, 2 episodes a week. And it's everything you want to know about reality TV, docuseries, and documentaries. So one episode might be some like weirdo from The Bachelor, but then I'll have an Academy Award-winning director of a documentary about a murder at the Olympics. You never know what you're going to get every episode, and you will walk away with at least 3 different things you want to watch.
She's got range.
Sounds
range.
fun. I'm in.
Go subscribe and leave a review. Okay, go do that.
You know what? Please do that, because 5-star reviews, the pod metrics are really important.
They're important.
And if you've been kind enough to listen to this show, that would be a great gift to all of us.
Thank you.
Let's give a specific message to say in those reviews. It honestly, it helps conversions.
Erica Jane's going to jail.
Yes.
5 stars.
Yes.
I've read the Bible, and she's right.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
This was fun.
This was a lot of fun.
This was
Thank
so
you for
fun
talking
always.
to us.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.